At exactly 1845 on September 28, 2025, Russia's most advanced air defense system, the S-400 Triumph, detected 6 incoming Ukrainian targets approaching the Belgorod thermal power plant. The system's 92 N6E gravestone radar locked on, and within seconds, 648 N6DM interceptor missiles, each worth millions of dollars and traveling at Mach 6, streaked into the sky. Russian operators, confident in their technology, reported 6 kills out of 6 launches, a perfect engagement. Yet 2 minutes later, the Belgorod power plant erupted in a fireball that plunged the city of 500,000 into darkness. The S-400 battery that had just celebrated victory was now a smoking ruin. Russia had spent almost $1 million intercepting decoys and lost an entire regional power grid in return. The strike was no accident. The Belgorod plant powered far more than homes. It fed radar stations, command centers, and the electrified rail system supplying Russia's 20th Guards Combined Arms Army. According to the Institute for the Study of War, disabling it would do more damage to Russia's logistics than destroying a dozen frontline units. The problem for Ukraine was the S-400 guarding it. Direct attack was suicide, so planners devised what analysts later called the Symphony of Deception, an operation built on intelligence, timing, and deception. Weeks of signals intelligence revealed the S-400's habits. Russian crews switched their gravestone radar on and off at predictable intervals, believing themselves invisible. Analysts also discovered 2 weaknesses. The radar couldn't detect low-flying, low-signature drones like Ukraine's UJ-26 Bober, and after firing a full salvo, the system entered a short reacquisition delay, a window of vulnerability lasting only minutes. Ukraine's plan was to overwhelm short-range air defenses with drones, force the S-400 to reveal itself, then strike both it and the power plant while the system was blind. At 1730, hundreds of Ukrainian operators took position, awaiting the synchronized signal at 1834. When it came, more than 230 drones, UJ-26 Bobers, and smaller decoys crossed into Russian airspace. Flying at 150 kilometers per hour and barely 50 meters above the ground, they spread toward 8 regions, including Kursk, Bryansk, and Rostov, all bristling with air defenses. To Russian radar crews, it looked like a massive assault. Doctrine demanded an immediate response. The short-range Pantsir S-1 and Tor M2 systems opened fire. Tracer fire lit the night as 30mm cannons and missiles shot upward. Commanders boasted kill rates of 90%. But each system could only track a few targets at once, and there were hundreds. Reload cycles overlapped, ammunition ran low, and radar screens overflowed with contacts. The skies above Belgorod became chaos. Ukraine wasn't trying to win this stage. It wanted to exhaust Russia's defenses and make them reveal their strongest assets. Each cheap drone consumed a missile worth several times its cost. It was asymmetric economics in motion. At 1844, with Russian defenses overwhelmed, a hidden Ukrainian HIMARS battery 80 kilometers away fired 6 M31 GMLRS rockets at Mach 2.5. The missiles raced toward Belgorod. Short-range systems couldn't stop them, so the order came: activate the S-400. At 1845, the gravestone radar lit up the sky with electromagnetic pulses. 6 interceptors launched, and 90 seconds later, 6 flashes lit the upper atmosphere. The operators cheered another perfect score, but they had just exposed themselves. By switching on its radar, the S-400 revealed its location and electronic fingerprint to every Ukrainian signals intelligence unit along the border. Within seconds, its pulse frequency, modulation, and hopping pattern were recorded and transmitted. That data gave Ukraine an exact target map. As analysts later noted, an active S-400 radar, while powerful, is one of the easiest systems on Earth to locate. It's a beacon shouting across the spectrum. Ukraine had traded 6 rockets for the targeting data of a $500 million battery. At 1846, the S-400 was in its vulnerability window, missiles gone, radar cooling, defenses reloading. Ukraine launched the final phase, a single UJ-26 Bober drone, loitering low and unseen, received updated coordinates and dove toward the radar truck. Simultaneously, another HIMARS volley of 6 rockets sped toward the Belgorod transformer station. The Bober, invisible below the radar horizon, closed in while Russian crews focused upward. Radar vehicle detonating its 50-kilogram warhead and killing the crew. The S-400 went dark. Seconds later, 6 HIMARS warheads slammed into the transformer station with surgical precision. A vast orange fireball rolled into the night. Belgorod went dark. From the first drone launch to the blackout, only 13 minutes had passed. The 13-minute kill chain, as it became known, was a masterpiece of timing, deception, and precision. Ukraine had spent less than $5 million. Russia lost a $500 million air defense system, a billion-dollar power plant, and the logistics hub of an entire army group. The human toll was small, fewer than a dozen Russian personnel, but the systemic impact was immense. Hospitals, railways, and command centers went offline. Supply convoys froze in place. The 20th Guards Army's entire logistics network stalled. By 1907, the scope of the disaster was undeniable. Belgorod's governor blamed a fire at an infrastructure site, but NASA's satellite data showed a massive heat signature where the power plant had been. The grid's output dropped to 0. Experts said repairs could take months. With the transformer gone, electrified trains stopped mid-route, radar stations went silent, and military command posts lost contact with the front. The Belgorod sector, once a secure rear area, became an operational black hole. The psychological impact was devastating. For years, Russia had boasted that its S-400 system was the world's most advanced shield, capable of destroying stealth fighters, cruise missiles, even hypersonic weapons. Yet in a single evening, it was fooled, blinded, and annihilated by drones that cost less than one of its missiles. Confidence in Russian defenses collapsed. Foreign buyers demanded answers. Within days, the commander of Russia's air and missile defense army was quietly dismissed. The S-400's aura of invincibility had evaporated. For Ukraine, the strike was more than revenge. It was a demonstration of a new kind of warfare. It proved that intelligence, deception, and agility could defeat raw power. The operation cost under $5 million and destroyed over $1.5 billion in assets. It wasn't attrition warfare, it was economic warfare. Each move had been designed not just to strike, but to manipulate. Ukraine didn't target soldiers or tanks. It targeted the systems that fed them. The transformer that powered the rails, the radar that protected the plant, the doctrine that kept Russian defenses predictable. Russia's defeat lay in its rigidity. The S-400 and its supporting systems were designed for Cold War-style threats, high-altitude bombers and ballistic arcs, not low, slow, autonomous drones. They were powerful but inflexible, their operators trained to follow strict engagement protocols. Ukraine exploited that predictability. By forcing the Russians to follow their own procedures, it turned their strength into weakness. In the words of one Western analyst, the S-400 died doing everything right. The Belgorod strike also reshaped how militaries think about cost. It exposed a fatal imbalance. Russia had to spend hundreds of thousands to destroy a $10,000 drone. Defense had become economically unsustainable. The cost of attack was collapsing, while the cost of defense was soaring. In modern warfare, that imbalance decides the outcome. Even as analysts dissected the operation, Ukraine's engineers were already planning the next evolution. The Belgorod Symphony required human coordination, weeks of intelligence, manual timing, and real-time control. Soon, artificial intelligence would remove those limits. Future drone swarms would communicate, adapt, and strike autonomously. New versions of the UJ-26 could identify radar emissions, prioritize targets, and coordinate attacks without human input. In future wars, hundreds of drones could execute kill chains like Belgorod's in seconds. The implications are revolutionary. Expensive static air defense networks are becoming obsolete. In the wars ahead, speed, flexibility, and intelligence will outweigh mass and cost. Russia's billion-dollar systems could not stop drones worth thousands. The Belgorod operation showed that victory now belongs to those who think faster, not those who spend more. What burned in Belgorod was not just a power plant or an S-400 battery. It was an entire doctrine. The strike marked the end of an era where defense could outspend offense. In just 13 minutes, Ukraine revealed the truth of modern warfare. Precision defeats mass, intelligence defeats tradition, and adaptation ensures survival. The Belgorod night was more than a battlefield victory. It was a glimpse into the future, where wars are won not by might, but by mastery of information and imagination.